Okay, so back to the lav, which is another word for a toilet. The battle taxi, whatever you want to call it. The labs or wheeled vehicles were suited, or at least the idealism behind them was for urban environments, because tank treads are notoriously are notorious for maintenance, and they grind up the surface below them. Every time you're turning and so on and so forth. So it takes, and then they're very heavy. Tanks are very heavy. And okay, so a good example of something like that. What's the Bradley fighting vehicle? Yeah. So this is a notorious screw up. Oh my goodness. So notorious a screw up that they made a movie about it. And I know, like, as soldiers in the United States are just like, why do I have to get inside this thing? This is not an APC. Like, how dare you? Was it the crew? How many people can get inside it? So it was in service from 81 to present. 3+ variable number of passengers depending on variant. Let's see what the movie. I'm trying to remember what the movie is about the Bradley. Does it float? We can make it float if you really want us to, but we don't recommend it. It needs a gun. We need to put a gun on it. Then we won't be able to carry as many soldiers. The whole point of this was to replace the M113. Isn't that what you wanted? No. We got to put a gun on it. It's got to be like a tank. Yeah. It's got tank treads. And we gotta go up against the freaking commies. They got nukes. It's gotta be gotta go up against chemical warfare, biological warfare. Yeah. Gotta seal it up. Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to read about it because you just go look it up yourself. Just looking at Wikipedia here, but I would compare the Striker to the Bradley in that you're making it very top heavy with that huge cannon on it. Because let's see what the original intent is to go to a 30 millimeter autocannon, and then they want to upsize that to something else. Coaxial machine gun. Naturally, like the weight is supposed to be for, light enough to get onto an aircraft, to say like a C-130. Two of them on a C-130, and that'd be it. That'd be max payload. Again, all this information is readily available. Okay, so Striker rolled over by a buried IED in 2007. And this was well known. This is why they introduced the Oshkosh. Okay, so there we go, 30 millimeter cannon. That's on the Striker. Yeah, and that really raises the profile of the thing. It sticks out like a sore thumb. And like one round from an anti-tank, it's a two-man team, like anti-tank round. It would just blow right through the whole thing. I'm not saying this to scare anyone that has to be in them, but to be aware. The reason why I'm doing this. The reason why I'm doing this particular video is because of the people that I know in the Canadian Forces, and I don't want you to die for nothing, right? I don't. I got friends, I got family in the forces that are just beside you who are watching this video in different places, different spaces. Members of my family and my extended family are in the reserves. And, again, my familiarity with the military, having been in cadets for 6 years, and seeing all this equipment, I'm wondering, where is all the money coming from and where is it going? when I was a young man. I'm like, why is this happening? Why is everybody complaining about the state of the equipment? And then it's this mentality that comes from the command. It's like, oh, imagine what it'd be like if you didn't have it, soldier. Get over it and move on. Don't be complaining to me. I'll put you in the frickin' brig. Oh, Muffin, you don't got no way to load that machine gun. Oh, you gotta eat expired MREs. I don't care. See, too much testosterone and too much hegemony of the ego and head bashing, and then also like again, gay people. I don't like picking on them, but this is part of the factor. The looking for special treatment and so forth and revenge for being put onto the margins of society. But it's not a desirable lifestyle. It really isn't. And like we were talking about military traditions, and you think about the Spartans and so on and so forth, and then pettyology, this idealism, or this ideology, or whatever you want to call it, of passing on like physically the information to the next generation. It's very scary, and it's why we stopped doing it, because it's not cool. It's not cool. It's not cool. It's not socially acceptable. It may have been in those days when they were closer to monkeys and had less intelligence, but we have no space for it anymore. It erodes trust. There used to be the days of what? No, don't ask, don't tell. Yeah. Well, look where we are now. We're on the opposite side of the spectrum. And where the only thing that matters within the military is your sexual orientation or your skin color. And that's a complete tragedy. People being this happened in the civilian world too, over the past 25 years, if not longer, since the advent of PC culture, where, it's offensive to offend someone. Like, how dare you say anything against me? Monster! 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 How dare you! They've gotten so soft. A little bit of acting, a little bit of entertainment with the information here. So, I know the Striker has its benefits, definitely. I can see that. It's cost effective, considering the regular production cost per value or per vehicle is $1.42 million. Yeah. In February 2012, the cost has risen to $4.9 million per unit. You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. And this is right on Wikipedia about the Striker. This is why the corruption happens, right? Let's look at the Oshkosh fighting vehicles. So the blast protection. That was implemented, the LATV, to replace the Hummer in certain scenarios. Everybody thinks that it takes newfangled and cutting edge equipment to fight war. But if you look at history in the recent era, and considering asymmetrical warfare with the Afghans and the Iraqis, they had nothing. They had absolutely nothing in comparison. They were throwing sticks and stones against men with sticks of dynamite. Because obviously the price per unit gets inflated in the negotiations, because someone benefits from it, right? Who benefits from it? The defense contractor. You know, the military-industrial complex is a problem, and it always has been. Is as again, citing Eisenhower after the Second World War, like because the Second World War could have been cut off much sooner. It could have, and they didn't necessarily need. Well, they were thinking the use of nukes. Like, I don't like nuclear proliferation. I really don't. They're standoff weapons. They're don't come near us weapons. And I bet you Canada has one somewhere. We're just not telling anybody about it. Okay, so deployments for the Striker. Let's look at the users. A double V hull, which is great for blast protection. Retrofitting vehicles. But the thing is that like with vehicles like this, failed bids. Canada in 2003 originally ordered 66 Striker mobile gun systems. So they're tank killers. That's the gist of it. Especially with the guided missiles. Different variants like mortar carrier, precision guided munitions, commander's vehicle, fire support vehicle. So many different variants. So that you have a mobile. A very mobile contained unit like the Marines, understandably, that fast recon, something like that. MGS, 105 millimeter rifled cannon. That's the M1128 MGS. Look how heavy that freaking thing is. Like, oh my goodness. One hit with a round at the top, the thing would just tip over. Right, or you just see, as seen in the picture there, hits one IED, boom, like a turtle on its back, and then everybody inside has concussions. Terrible, freaking terrible. And then they retrofitted them. Look at this picture on Wikipedia in 2008. With the fences on them to combat RPGs and the other anti-tank weapons, so that they explode before they hit. When you still have hot shrapnel. The penetration rounds are very, very interesting too. Me doing these videos is not a demonstration or a threat. I'm not threatening you. I don't want to be threatening you. I want to work on the same team here. But if I have to display how much information and knowledge I have access to in order for you to work with me, I'm going to do that. Okay, foreign interest in the MGS. Canada has liquidated about half of its fleet of Leopard 1 main battle tanks in the early 2000s. And you know what? The Leopard, as far as I can tell, is a fantastic MBT. And I have no experience with it, but just by looking at it, it is a lower profile. And let's see. In service since 1965. Let's look at the users and how long it's been with Canada. Replacement for the Centurion. From 70, ASA was implemented or brought into service in they required 114 in 1978. Were stationed in Germany during the Cold War, with few retained at Canadian Forces Base Gagetown in that time for training. In 1976, prior to the delivery of these new Leopards, the Canadian government leased 34 Leopard 1A2 tanks from the contractor in order to begin training crews for the four Canadian Mechanized Brigade Group based in West Germany. These tanks equipped the Royal Canadian Dragoons that competed against other NATO tank crews and won the Canadian Army tank competition in 1977. Good for them. You see, and what this really demonstrates, let's say Leopard C2 at RMC. Holy, look at that relic. Yeah, holy. A little bit different with the added armor packages here with the picture from October 2006. And being loaded into a C5 Galaxy here. Okay, and what? Canada sent Squadron North Strathcona's Horse, so mounted infantry equipped with 17 Leopard C2s. With Mexus add-on armor, as well as 4 recovery vehicles and 4 engineering vehicles. Again, this is all this is all in the past now, so there's no secrets to be had here. Okay, here we go. This is interesting because I want to continue on with this corruption part and how the propaganda, war propaganda, and the sale, the intoxication of the military industrial complex and senior brass. Because you go to a defense conference and I've seen videos and stuff like that, and it's absolutely boring. And most of the people there don't even have an interest in the technicalities or anything like that. Oh, okay, will it do the job? Yeah. Where are you going for lunch? There. They got lobster? Yeah. They got some pretty ladies? Yeah. We're going. Okay, Canada decided to invest in Leopard 2 tanks and determined that lack of adequate air conditioning, I remember this, essential in the searing heat of Afghanistan, was degrading the tank crew's war-fighting ability. The Army later downplayed this factor, citing increased armor protection and the main gun armament as reasons for upgrading to the Leopard 2. After some public speculation, Defense Minister Gordon O'Connor clarified the situation in 2007. To meet the immediate needs of Afghanistan, 20 of the Bundeswehr stock Leopard 2 A6s were upgraded to the 2A6M standard and loaned to Canada at no cost by the German government. Yeah. So that brings up something else to me. And I don't like how the Canadian military has to be so dependent on our allies. And I'm sure our allies are very worn out and tired of that too. Disasters and incidents in Canada in 2000 to 2020. Okay, we're going to read that next. Did I download it already? Let's see what's there. We've got submarines. Yeah, so I'm sure the Leopard is fine, but they take a lot of resources, and that's why the choice of the labs and so forth is supposed to be a lower cost option. But the lower cost option always puts someone's life at risk. Okay. And the lower cost option, before I get into the disasters here, after the Leopard, since I'm going to concentrate on the Army, because like those are the people that actually have to do the breach and entry, and they have, there's no Air Force without boots on the ground. There's no Navy without boots on the ground, and vice versa, right? Without artillery support from the ships, there's no landing, etc. No, Zoe, not now.
No, Kitty, not now. No, Kitty's my pie.
I really don't care if the media frames me as a madman or whatever. All this is publicly accessible information for the most part. If I get to it, I don't know how that happened, man. And I'm looking at CASR, Canadian American Strategic Review. I grew up on this, and when the war in Afghanistan was just in beginning, from 2001, and I found out about it. I don't remember exactly how. It was probably through a forum, where I looked it up. I was trying to something, just out of pure curiosity and interest. Because if you want someone to be in power, you need to call someone who cares. And I was always thinking about the other people beside me, and being a social reject, and watching people for most of my life and trying to understand how people tick, and why they would treat me the way that they do. That grand fascination, and it really matters because those are the chain of events that lead to decisions and people dying. Okay, so I'm looking at the C7A2 here. And it looks pretty spiffy with its update. And we got Canadian Forces training video here.
From small arms instructors of the improved handling drills introduced in the new C7 and C8 PAM launched in May 2018 that is effective immediately. These changes do not mean the old method of doing drills was flawed or unsafe, but testing has found that the newer methods of handling the C7 and the C8 are even better, they offer more control, and they remedy more stoppages in less time. The previous PAM was based on drills from previous small arms from generations of rifles very different than today's small arms. For example, a right-handed shooter had to take their strong hand off the control grip in order to cock the weapon or remedy other stoppages. This is no longer required with an ambidextrous cocking handle. This video will show you the new drills. As small arms instructors, you must help inform every soldier in the...
Okay, this poor fella is reading off a proctor and he hasn't done it very much. You can tell. All credit to him. Good job. You did the best you could.
That there is a better and safer way to handle this rifle or carbine. You will use this information to train the trainers to ensure the proper handling of these weapons in the future.
These videos show the C7's weapon carriage positions, load, ready, unload, firing drills, stoppage drills, and the marksmanship principles. When operating the C7, the soldier must be aware of the barrel and where it is pointed. Muzzle awareness will be adhered to at all times. The rifle drills can be done in any firing position used for the past couple of decades. Pay attention to any terms that you have not heard or have not used in previous training. There are different weapon carriages that may be used depending upon the tactical situation. The most important aspect to remember when conducting any weapon drills, including carriage, is controlling the direction of the weapon's muzzle. The standard carry is used when no immediate threat is present. Depending upon the readiness condition of the weapon, if it is loaded and readied or just loaded, it may be slung, safety engaged or not, finger off the trigger, and the soldier has control of the weapon. Control is maintained by keeping his strong hand on the pistol grip as a minimum. The soldier stays relaxed until a threat becomes imminent. This is a position where the weapon is on safe and the soldier's hands are not on the weapon. Soldiers may use the hand carry when they need their hands for other tasks and no threat is present or likely. The weapon is slung and the safety is engaged. To adopt this position, a soldier may be told to put it on safe and let it hang. The one-handed carry position is used
drills.
in a tactical situation.
Let's go,
Results
Mark.
in a soldier successfully completing all the stages of becoming a battle shot by passing his mandated levels of PWT. The marksmanship principles are further broken down into the fundamentals of shooting, the application
Let's get that.
to what happens during the quarter-second rhythm drill. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. Stoppage drills are the actions taken by the soldier to bring the weapon back into operation after the weapon has failed to fire. To aid the soldier in determining the stoppage, the ability to distinguish between a live trigger or a dead trigger is important. When the rifle fails to fire or stops firing, the stoppage drill becomes a conditioned response, depending upon the soldier's ability to feel or hear the action of the trigger. When conducting any stoppage drill, a bolt check will be done. A bolt check is done by canting the weapon slightly to the left.
All right, good enough. I'm sure I could pass that quite easily. Colt Canada, which is now Diemaco. I don't know. I haven't any experience with this weapon, but looking at the proximity of Norinco and to the Colt C7, I'm not exactly inspired here. Like I'm down to the metallurgy and so forth. So if you've had experience with this, please tell me and put it in the comments. There's something to be learned from it. All right, so I'm going to move on to disasters and incidents. Excuse me. Got some chili going on there. In Canada, 2020. Okay. 13, page 13, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Not too far. Okay. All right, we're getting to 27 minutes, and I got to take care of the dog.